So good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yesterday we have covered the levels of testing, right? In that we understand. Uh, Let me share the screen. Let me know once you see the screen, guys.
Yes, Vinod, we are able to see the screen.
Able to see? Okay, great. Others?
Yes, we are seeing.
Yes, Vinod, we can see the screen.
Yes,
Oh,
Venu.
great. So yesterday we have started with the levels of testing, correct? So inside the levels of testing, we try to understand what is unit testing. We try to understand what is module testing, what else, and integration testing. So, guys, please, please be noted in the manual testing course, throughout the manual testing course, right, or throughout the testing course, that then automation. Every test, right, once you complete the course, if you look back, every test looks similar. Every test definition looks similar. What do? You test the application to make sure the application is a defect free. But what you apply is little different, but the output is what you're trying to isolate the defects from the application. Okay. So there are many types of testings in real world, but those types of testings are not applied in the real project. But for the interview point of view, as a manual tester, you should understand those concepts. As a tester, you'll not do unit testing, but we are very much clear. But you should know what is unit testing. You should know what is the scope of a unit testing. Either a tester will do that, or the PM will do that, or a customer will be doing the testing, or a developer will be doing the testing. You should know the concept. Same with the other testings as well. Okay. Now we understand unit testing is something which is done by the developers. Instead of whole, let's say there are 10,000 lines of code, a developer will pick few lines, which is called as a unit, and he tests that unit and make sure that a particular small unit is working fine, right? That kind of testing is called unit testing, which is done by the developer. The same thing, module, multiple units are combined together as a module, then that module will be tested. And here, two things. One, developer also doing the module testing, where he'll combine different units together. And a particular module, right? The functional part is tested by the tester. That's why it comes under both white box testing and the black box testing. And very importantly, we also understood integration testing. Right now, what is the integration? The word integration means linking linking different applications together. Right? How the linking happens? Yesterday we have discussed. Let's say there are
Interfaces.
four different pages. Yeah. Yesterday we
Interfaces.
discussed. Let's say
Interfaces.
there are four. Correct. Absolutely. There are interfaces. So there are four different pages which are developed by the developer. To link those pages, what they do, they develop an interfaces to link the pages. Now you have to make sure that the interface which they have developed is working fine or not. The developers will share those interfaces and test among themselves to make sure the interface is properly working. That's why we call them as a because we are testing the interface, right? At, at the level of testing, we call that as integration level testing. And especially the developers will be performing because here testing the program, testing the interface is more important. The agenda of this testing is to test the interface that is perfectly working or not. When the interface is working perfectly fine, then the interface is applied between two different pages. Then all whatever pages being developed inside the project will be linked together. So we have taken an example, right? Login page from login page to the checkout page of the e-commerce platform, right? And user can move from login page directly after you log in. You can move to the checkout page. From the checkout page, again you can come back to your product listing page. Again, you can come back and you can sign out from the application. So those linking will happen with the help of an interface. Then the interface will be tested here. Okay. Hope this was very much clear. Right. So guys, now what we are going to discuss in next few minutes is going to be something very important. I want you to be very alert. Ask questions if you don't understand. Correct. Now, mm, um, guys, what you see on the screen, please let me know.
Diagram we are seeing.
Diagram.
Diagram. Okay.
Diagram.
Right.
Models.
Um, let's take an example. Okay. So let's take an uh, example to understand what is this kind of a testing. Okay. Okay. Now, let's take an example of a car. Okay, so we'll try to understand with an example of a car, right? So can you tell me what are the functions of a car? Can someone quickly? Everybody knows car, right? Though you have it, or you don't have it, but you understand the functions of a car, right? So what are the functions
Steering,
of a car?
clutch. Steering, clutch.
Correct.
Brake,
Yes.
brake,
Accelerator.
brakes,
Right.
gears,
Right.
gears,
Correct. Right.
reverse,
Doors.
brake,
Okay.
reverse, lights,
Right.
indicators,
Seat belt.
Seats.
Seat belt. Very important. Seat belt. Yes.
indicators,
Indicators. Yes. Come on. Come on. I want you to
fuel,
speak out.
fuel,
Others. I want.
Steering.
fuel hole, steering, brakes, lights, horn,
Right.
horn,
Handbrake.
Right.
horn,
The
Handbrake.
more
Mirror.
you come up, the more you come
Side
up,
open and
mirrors.
you will
close,
develop that quality. Yes.
doors,
Power windows.
doors,
Yes.
Side
windows,
mirrors.
Yes.
glass, door, door lock,
Yes.
door lock,
Door lock. Excellent. Yes.
wipers, wipers,
Wipers. Excellent. Wipers. Yes. You have to develop a habit for any in an interview, right? You go, people will give you some weird examples to tell about the functions or the test cases. So you should be well enough, right? Example, see, someone is asking functions of a car. It doesn't mean that if you own a car, then only you will be able to tell. As a tester, you should think dynamically answer those questions. Okay. Anything else from the car functions?
Start, stop.
Okay.
AC point,
Okay. AC, very good. Right. So now we understand, right? If someone is telling, hey, tester, can you please test this car? Right. So what do you do? So you first list out all the functions. Now, example, clutch. right? So if you want to test a clutch is prepared in some example in somewhere in Bombay. All clutches are prepared in Bombay, example, right? Now, to test whether clutch, the manufactured or whatever the production happens, they'll see, okay, the clutch is prepared as per the designs and dimensions, right? And the tires example prepared in somewhere in Kerala. All the tires which are specifically for, let's take an example of a desired car. What is your favorite car, guys? What is your favorite car?
Honda City.
Yeah, exactly. Honda City. Others?
Volkswagen. Volkswagen.
Volkswagen. Others? Only two?
BMW.
Okay. BMW. Okay, good. So take take BMW. Okay, don't mind. I'm not taking others. Okay, now what happens is the tires of BMW will be manufactured somewhere in the Kerala, and the clutch will be manufactured somewhere in Noida, or AC, which will manufactured somewhere in India, let's say Goa or somewhere. So before before they sending AC to the manufacturing unit of BMW, they will test whether the AC is working fine or not inside their organization. Correct? Do you agree? Do
So,
you agree?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? So the tires are delivered to the organization, that manufacturing unit, right? Now, let's take some. This is the manufacturing unit, and we have different. Now, now assume this is the main manufacturing unit where every one of BMW cars, every part which is manufactured across the world, right, they have to send it back to the send it back to the this particular unit where the assembling will happen. Now let's say this is the AC, this is the tire, this is something the body. Now this is example wipers example, and this is something doors or say the engine main part. Okay. Now all these parts are manufactured in different areas and may not be compulsory that it should be manufactured in different areas. I'm just taking an example, right? Now these are all BMW units only, but different BMW units they manufacture differently. Before they before they sending the AC to the actual assembling unit, what they do, they actually perform how the AC is performing, right? How the AC is performing, whether it is just working fine or not, when it is connected to a when it's connected to the actual power unit, when the power engine is on, right? So how do they test, right? How do they test? Because the AC is not installed in any of the car, correct? But they will simulate, right, the power of a car, and they'll test whether the AC is performing or not, correct? Vice versa, the same thing with engine. Correct? Before they're delivering engine to the the assembling unit, what they do, they will actually 1 minute. They will test it. Okay. Now, vice versa, all the areas, wipers, body, everything will be tested. Now, now what? Now, initially we have done the testing individually, correct? Once they have assembled, now it becomes a car, correct? Once they assemble, it will it will becomes a car, correct? It's not going. Okay. Once it is once it is installed, let me draw a small card. Don't mind. Just let's assume this is a car. Right now, once the testing happened individually in the different units, but afterwards, what happened? After they install the car, right? Once the car is ready, before releasing into the market or before even sending this to the uh, the delivery or warehouse, what they do, they'll test the they'll test the car, right? Now this time they'll check whether, right, while driving the car, how AC is responding. While driving the car, how engine is responding. While driving the car, how wipers are responding. Whether wipers are actually getting on when the switch is on, the same way how the tires are performing. Here, here there are two things. One, here there are two things. One, you test the functionality of the car, correct? You will test the functionality of the car. Okay. Now, now, so here to test the car, right? To test the car, you should have a working product. Right? So what you're doing here, the functional testing. What are you doing here? The functional testing. So is it possible? Is it possible to do the functional testing on these areas? No, right? Individually, it is not possible. Once the application is ready, right? Once the application is ready, you will be doing the you will be doing the functional testing. Now, now here in our context, what we'll try to understand here is we'll try to understand once the application is ready. Please understand this. Once the application is ready, you will test that application, right, as a whole with respect to two areas. One, you will do a system testing, how your application is performing on certain configurations. Example, on this environment, my application is working. If I increase the RAM, how it is working? This application is working in a Linux environment, whether this application is working in Mozilla Firefox, right? So you will perform as a system. You will perform the testing on the whole application developed on the two areas. One, functional testing. Two, you will also perform a non-functional testing. Now you are hearing two different words here. One, you already heard what is functional, and you are hearing for the second time non-functional testing. Now, what do you mean by non-functional testing in our example? Now we'll say car capacity, it carries more than 8 people. Whether it is really carrying more than 8 people, carrying 8 people is something a load, right? You put some load on the car and you'll test whether it is working or not. And people say in spite of driving with 8 people for 100 kilometers, your AC will still work as usual only. So again, quality team will test by putting the load of 8 people or 9 people, and they'll switch on the AC continuously, and they'll see, in spite of putting that load, how your car is running. It means they perform a load testing. They'll perform a load testing. Now, no, they also say that the performance of the vehicle is very smooth. Even if you drive 1,000 kilometers, you'll not find, right? You'll not find engine getting heated, or the wipers not working, or engine getting heated unnecessarily. AC is going down if you drive, or the tires are not supporting in the races. There's lot of other areas where car can give you the benefits, right? Now, here you will be testing two, if at a high level. One is a functional testing. Once It is a functional testing. You'll see all the functions are working fine with respective to whatever they're saying. You'll test it. Right now, what is the non-functional testing? You perform some kind of a load testing. So car will have a different load test. The software application will have a different load test. Example, in the software section, if I want to give an example, now you see you see Amazon big sale or Amazon Friday sale or Amazon trillion sale, XYZ sales, right? So what they do, so on that particular day, example, one particular day, Amazon has announced a sale, right? And and obviously, that particular day, lot of users will be logging into the Amazon application. They only don't log in; they also browse the application. They also browse. They also make the payments. So the Amazon should predict, right? The same sale which happened last year, right? How many users have logged into the Amazon application? They would be expecting, right? How many users this time going to browse the application, or how many users going to hit the application, right? So what they do, if let's say last year 10,000 users have logged into the application, this time they do some kind of a predictions in the back end. They'll come up, let's say there might be a 20,000 users are going to use that application on that particular day. So what they do before that particular day, the Amazon team will do a load testing. If 20,000 users are logging in at the same time, is the application working as usual? Is the work application displaying the products as usual? Is the application payment system? If 1,000 people are making the payment at a time, how the payment system is working? Or whether the payment is getting debited, customer is not getting the success message, how the payment server is working, how the payment gateway is responding, how the application is customer moving from one page to another page, 10,000 customers moving at the same time, how your application is performing, right? That is how the load test will be done and they'll be ready for that particular big sale, whatever they're going to announce. And they also check how the servers are responding, right? Whether servers have the capacity to process the application when more number of users are logging in, right? So that is called in a software development language, that's called upscaling your servers and downscaling the servers. Upscaling is something where you increase the servers based on the expected workload and you decrease after the bit sale is completed, right? And the normal days are going on, they'll not be requiring high-end configurations of the systems, high-end configurations of the database. They don't need upscaling servers. What they do, once the scale is completed, they'll downscale the servers, right? Now, this is how they perform the load testing. They'll see how the stress testing, they also see what is the usability testing. Now, what are these? This all comes under performance testing, guys. Performance testing, where the load test, usability test, stress testing, volume testing, reliability testing, scalability testing. This comes under performance testing. Performance testing is a separate altogether where the performance testers will do it. So that is a separate course altogether where you will be learning what is the performance, how to test a software application in terms of performance testing, what is under performance testing, how to do a security testing, how to do a usability testing, how to do the volume testing, scalable testing. So, separate uh, learning altogether. But for your understanding, non-functional testing is something called as a performance testing. Non-functional testing comes under the non-functional testing. You have performance testing like load usability. This course is not related to a performance testing. That's a separate course altogether. As a tester, you should understand there are two major. One is a functional part of an application, the other non-functional part of the application. Right now, coming back to our context, right now, once the car is ready for the delivery, the delivery unit or inside the manufacturing unit, they'll perform a testing on. That's why you see some stickers on the car. They'll put as like quality tested tick mark if you observe while they're taking the delivery. So you'll have that quality stick mark on your car, right? They'll do the functional part of the testing, right? Now, to do the functional part of this testing or any application, right? It is not possible when it is there in the separate unit. Once it is installed together as a whole, you will test this system. In our case, it is a system or an application. This is a car. This is another example of a manufacturing unit, right? So what we understand is a system level testing. System level testing is something where the whole system is tested, right? The whole system is tested. Along with the testing, we also do a performance testing, right? As a tester, you do performance testing, but internally there's a different performance testing team who does this performance testing. It is not your scope, but if you are a performance tester, you should also doing that non-functional testing. Okay. Now, because this comes under the functional part, we can call that as a black box testing. And even the performance testing, right, comes under black box testing because we do not touch any of the code. We only increase the load. We'll try to log in with multiple users, right? We'll try to see the usability, how the application is responding when something is not working. Example, your username and password are incorrect. It will display that please enter the valid username. It means it is a user-friendly application. If you display some programmatical language, example, you input username incorrect and the message is showing that string is invalid, will the user understands? No, right? So that is not user-friendly application. User-friendly application is something which is displaying user understandable language. So that is a separate testing is done by the performance testers. Sometimes depends on the availability. Testing team also does this. They'll see that application how it is behaving when something is not working properly. Is it displaying in proper English language? If the user has selected Telugu, it is displaying in Telugu language or different languages based on the user selection. Right now, that is called as the usability testing. So coming back to our testing right now, we understand system testing is something it is done by the test engineers, right? This is one of the type of system testing. It is something where once all the all the units or all the parts or all the small applications are joined together and they will deploy that application. They'll test two. One is the functional part, another one is the non-functional part. That is called as a system level testing. Hope you have got some idea what is system testing now.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, we know.
okay. This is
Yes, we know.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, let me know once you see the screen. I'm just moving on to another screen, sharing the notepad. Can you see the notepad now?
Yes, Vinod.
Yes, Vinod.
Yes.
System level testing. Okay. Now, understand. Now, we'll take another example of, we'll try to understand what is the system integration testing. Okay. Now, system integration testing. Now, system level testing, we understand there are certain other levels of testing which we do, usability, performance, which is non-functional testing. Then what is the system integration testing? Okay. Now, I'm just switching on to another window. Diagram is visible right now.
Yes,
Yes.
Vinod.
Now, so let's take an application. Okay, let's take uh, a e-commerce platform. And now assume that there is a e-commerce application which is developed inside the organization. Now it has different entities. Correct? It has different entities. So that is warehouse. Another one is finance. Another one is inventory. Sales, purchase. So individually, finance will have hundreds of pages, hundreds of web pages. It might be displaying a lot of other uh, web pages. Inventory will have again different web pages. Sales will have different web pages, whereas the purchase is having different web pages, right? So now understand these are the currently uh, the project is under development. Sometimes you have received the finance application for testing. You have done the finance application testing, it is working fine. And inventory is another application you have received, you have tested it, vice versa, purchase, sales, warehouse, all the applications you have received in individually, and you have tested it, it is working fine. Correct? Now, now it is important, right? If it is interlinked only, then it is a customer wants this to be interlinked. Correct? Customer want this to be interlinked. Otherwise, there is no use for him, right? There is no
Yes.
use for him. All the applications should be interlinked. If someone wants to move from warehouse to purchase, it should move. Somebody is moving from finance to purchase, it should the pages should move. So all the applications, right? All the applications should be interlinked together. Correct? Now, how do you make sure that applications are interlinked? Example one, a user has logged into sales, but you want to check whether a particular item is available. You'll go and check in the warehouse, right? When it is possible, when the both applications are connected together. You agree? Correct? So vice versa. Once the warehouse has a product, once the inventory displays that, then someone wants to, once it is done, the purchase can happen. Right? So your purchase application should display the inventory, and inventory should pick up the details from warehouse, right? And it should display the details from the financing. Example, this is the application which is going on, and right now, we, I tried, so all the applications are linked together. Now, now in the testing language, what we do is whether whether the sales guy can able to see the inventory depends on the user, guys. Please understand there are different users, right? There might be an admin user, there might be a regular user, there might be a manager's user, there might be who's head of the department, CTO. He'll have a different username and password, right? Based on the permissions, right? The user can see the applications. Now, an admin user, if given a permission, right, he should only see the sales, purchase, inventory, and warehouse. Finance should not be visible. If normal user logs in, right, a end user logs in, he can see an item available on the page, product listing page, and that item should be picked up from the warehouse. Right? Now, to check all these things, what we do, we perform a testing called as system integration testing. What is that called as? System integration testing. Integration testing. We call that as a SIT in normal language. So we perform system integration testing. Now, we have to make sure that this is a type of testing which a tester performs some action in one module. Example, he changes uh, the price of a particular product in the finance page. That should display the information in the purchase page. Correct. Now, if an item quantity is updated in the warehouse, the same update should reflect in the inventory. Right. Correct. Now, this is how your modules are integrated. Right. The change performed on one application should reflect on the other respective applications. Correct. So whether it is happening or not, whether the change made in one application is reflecting on the other application or not, is that we perform a testing called as integration testing. It means we integrate the whole system together. Don't get confused. System is something your application, your project. So we call that as a system integrated testing. All the systems, now the warehouse is a different, finance is a different server, inventory is a different server, purchases are different. So all together when combined is performing with the right direction, with the right data that is being tested here is called as system integration testing. This is very, very important testing, guys. You do this testing regularly in your regular project, right? So this is where you tell your application is almost ready for the deployment. If all the applications, finance application is working fine, sales application is working fine, if integrated together, they both are working fine, vice versa with other applications working fine, then your project is ready for the deployment. This is one of the green signal where if all your integration testing is performing well, if results are good, it means you are to sign off the application. Any doubt here? What is the system integration testing?
No, sir.
So can you tell me quickly, promptly, this system, this SIT comes under black box or white box?
Maya.
Black box.
Black box testing.
Others, please. Black box. Others, Kavita, Naveen, Satish, Tulsi, Anita.
Black box something.
Anita, what do you think?
Uh, I'm a bit confused whether in some scenarios it comes under white box also. So
Why it is coming under white box? I mean, according to you, why it is coming under white box? Are you touching any of the code here?
no, no,
No. So
no. It will be coming under black box only.
it's very simple, right? Please do not get confused. Did we discuss that a code is being tested here? Did we discuss
No.
the warehouse code or the program is tested? Did we discuss? No, right?
No.
Yes.
Right? Did we discuss anything related to coding?
No.
Structural part? Did we discuss? No. We only discussed how the warehouse application is performing. Functional part. Very,
Functional.
very simple. Functional part. We discussed only functional. In the finance page, if I go and change a product pricing, that price should be displayed in purchase application. We only discussed about the functional part. Did we do any code change here? Did we do any code testing here? Did
No.
we open any coding?
No,
No.
nothing.
Correct. So
Yes.
whenever we don't touch any coding, whenever we do only the functional part, whenever we don't touch any structural part, that always comes under
Black box.
black
Black
box
box testing.
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 Got it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Now why we have completed system and system integration testing. Okay. No. Now, guys, now this is very, very important one, the next topic. And this is being used in the real time, and this is used regularly in the real time. And we should understand what is this testing, right? Who performs it? What are the uh, different parameters that we generally use for it? Okay. Now everybody, what you see on the screen is the notepad or the diagram.
Diagram screen.
Diagram. Diagram.
Diagram. Diagram.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now we'll try to understand a different concept now. The next one, which is very, very important. Now, uh, let me put this one. Assume this is a customer, right? And QA one, QA two, QA this one. This one. Okay, right. Now, now we have a application, right? We have a software application. Just imagine this is a Gmail application which is being developed in the organization, and right now we are at the we are at the testing phase, right? We are the testing phase, and now the application is being tested. The application is being tested, right? Now we have completed the system integration. We have completed the other testings. It is working fine. Now the project moves to a different stage. Okay. Now different stage is something just before deploying in the production environment, right? Now there is uh, a testing which is being performed. Now Now, what is the testing? Now, so we have a testing which generally means if the testing is completed, then the customer is accepting the application. It means whatever whatever uh, the requirements has been given to the company, right? If customer accepts that application, it means that application is developed as per the customer's requirement, right? So now, when a customer will accept the application, when example, if there are 10 requirements given at the time of starting of the project, if the 10 requirements are right, if the 10 requirements are there in the developed application, then that application is called as a quality product. Do you agree? Do you agree, right? All the 10
Yes.
requirements, if are there in the application which is developed, then it is a quality product. But unless and until customer himself test it, unless and until if will not, customer will not be happy or customer will not be agreeing it, right? Unless until he performs the testing. Now, there is a testing called as, there is a testing called as user acceptance testing. Can everyone repeat that word? User
User acceptance
acceptance
testing.
Acceptance
testing.
testing.
Testing. Again, this word is very important. User acceptance testing. Someone, sorry, everyone, can you please repeat that word? User acceptance testing.
User acceptance
User
testing.
acceptance testing.
Testing. Yes, user acceptance testing. In real, people will keep calling this as UAT. What is this called as?
UAT.
UAT.
U
UA.
UAT. What is this called as? UAT. In the
UAT.
meetings, lot of meetings, in regular project meetings, you keep hearing, hey, there's a UAT going on here. It is very tough to get leave. People will keep saying in your team. And example, you want to leave and you are asking a manager, hey, manager, I want to leave on this particular day. Manager will disapprove saying on on that particular day, sorry, on that particular day, you will have a
UAT.
on that particular day, you will have a UAT testing, which is user acceptance testing. Now, in these two tests, in UAT, you have two major testings. One, we call that as a okay, uh, we call that as a alpha testing. Other one is a beta testing. Okay, what is that called as a alpha testing as well as a beta testing. Okay, now what is that alpha testing and the beta testing? Now you understand what is a UAT, right? UAT testing is something where you know the whoever is performing, whether you perform or someone else perform, you validate the requirements, correct? You verify the requirements and you assess the usability before the deployment, right? It also UAT will also help you to detect any risk or it ensures that the application launch successfully. Once the UAT is passed, it is almost near to the production deployment. Right? Even the project undergoes different levels of testing, it should pass UAT testing without fail. Right? Even if UAT is failed, your application will not move to the production environment. Okay. Now, who performs UAT? It is very, very important. Now, testers will perform, right? Testers will perform the alpha testing. Now, what is the alpha testing? In the company premises, in your organization, right? Someone, someone will come from the customer's location, or someone will visit the customers, or from the accounts team, or from the sales team, or someone will join from the customer's point of view. They will see how you're doing the testing, live testing. They'll tell to, hey, can you open that application? Can you click this one? Can you go to the sales page? Can you go to the cart page? Can you delete this one? Right? So what they do, they will join in a conference room. If it is small organization, they'll sit together. If it is a big organization, from the different location, teams will join and do the alpha testing. As a tester, you will be the control of the system. You will be doing what the sales team or from the customer, whoever is joining, or a customer representative joining the call, will telling you what to do, telling you what to perform the operation. They'll see how the application is behaving, right? Now, very important, alpha testing is done by the QA team in presence of the customer representative, maybe virtual or in the physical mode. Now, what is a beta testing? Beta testing is done at the customer's location just before going to the prod environment. Beta testing will happen at the customer's location where the customer himself can test the application, or he will assign some third party testers, right? Example, there are few companies who only take quality, can say a QA projects. Example, Value Labs. You heard of Value Labs, which is an MNC, Value Momentum. Vice versa, they also take QA projects, and they perform the testing on the applications which are under development. So beta testing is the testing which is done by the customer at the customer's location, maybe by the customer, or or maybe maybe by the customer who is actually hiring a third party testing team to perform the testing. Okay. So any confusion in the alpha testing and beta testing, guys?
Now we know.
Now we know.
No, sir.
It's sounding very low. People are getting confused. You want me to repeat this?
Yeah, alpha testing in presence of customers performing. Is
The
it right?
alpha testing is something done in your organization.
Yes.
Example,
Okay.
if you're working for a Cognizant,
Okay.
it is done in Cognizant's location. Someone from the customer side, customer representative, or from the sales side, or from the customer side, someone will be joining the testing. If it's happening online, example, the way we are having a session, they'll share the screen. Someone will join from the customer side, and they'll do the testing, right? And so you are controlling the laptop, the system. The customer representative will tell you, hey, can you please do activity? We want to see how it is performing. Can you make the payment once you select the product? So the whole cycle will run. You'll open the page, you'll log in, you will add the product to the product listing, you will select the quantity, you select your address, right? Then you make the payment. That's a complete cycle it will run. Correct? The same way, the customer asks you to do many things when the alpha testing is going on. Correct? But beta is completely opposite. The same thing is done in the customer's location. And customer, if he is having a time, he will do it. If not, he will hire some third-party testers. It may be some organization providing services or the third-party testers who are available as a freelancers. They'll hire it, they'll perform the testing, which is called as a beta testing. But on a high level, the real time, right? I'll tell you, this is the actual course where you need to understand what is alpha and what is beta, right?
Yes.
It will be done in the production environment only, right?
No. Just
Environment.
before going, just before the production environment,
Environment.
customers,
Pre-production.
yeah,
Before going
before
production
going to
environment,
live,
UAT perform.
yeah, UAT is done. UAT is
Yes.
done, right. Now this is very
Pre-production.
important, guys. So, correct, pre-production.
Pre-production.
Pre-production. Well, please understand. Now, you will end up spending 30 days learning this manual testing. There will be many testing, monkey testing, zebra testing, that testing, this testing. There are many testings, but in the real time, not even 10 to 20% of what you learn are implemented, out of which this UAT testing is alpha, beta never happens in the real time. Okay, but UAT happens in real time for sure, definitely, but it's only one testing which is done by the customer only. We will deploy the application. Customer will say, hey, this is my server location. You deploy the application on this date, then we'll perform UAT for this many days, say 1 week. Then we will publish the results. If we encounter any defects, we will let you know. If not, we'll sign off the UAT. Customer sign off the UAT, then it moves to the production environment. In the real time, it's only one testing which happens. Once QA team says that application is ready for the sign off, we'll say that, hey customer, we have completed the testing phase. Now application is ready for the next deployment. Customer say, hey, you deploy the application in my UAT environment. I kept a separate UAT environment for you guys. You deploy. And for that is not your job to deploy. The DevOps or the deployment engineers will take care. They'll deploy our application in the UAT environment. Then customer will perform the testing. Okay. Now let me show you what is the plan of UAT. Okay. Let me share the screen. Okay, 1 minute. Right now we are you heard camera Nikon, right? DSLR camera, DSLR Nikon cameras. So right now we are performing a project for them. Okay. Now let me share the screen. This is confidential, but I'm just sharing for your purpose. What someone see on the screen?
Yes.
Agile plan.
Agile indicative agile plan.
Print. Okay. Print.
This is the plan, right? How the project is started. You can see here, kickoff meeting, then discovery, analysis, architecture, development plan, and BRD acceptance. Now, in the real time, we heard of this FRS document, right? But once we learn Agile and it's in the implementation plan, in Agile, we call that as a BRD, business requirement document. Same thing as FRS. The naming convention is different. We'll try to learn this. What I'm trying to showcase here, you can see here SIT. Can you see here SIT?
Yes.
Can you see here SIT?
Yes.
Correct? Now it is in week 5. Can you see? It is in week 5 SIT. It means the requirements gathering, development, the testing should complete by week 5 the application should be in SIT phase in week 5. Vice versa. Can you see here UAT down here?
Yes.
UAT.
In
Yes,
yellow,
Week
sir.
yellow.
16.
I'm pointing out UAT.
Yellow color.
Yes.
Correct? UAT.
Week 16.
Now look at here. How many UATs you have? How many PRD you have on the screen?
Only one
One.
UAT.
One
Only
UAT,
One
one
one.
UAT,
UAT.
one PRD.
Correct.
One PRD.
It means the application is tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cycles of SIT, and all the SIT's application is tested, right? All the items are moved to UAT in week 16, just before the production deployment, correct? Week
Yes.
16 and week 17 both are the important weeks. Week 16 is the UAT deployment. Week 17 is the go live date. PRD is something called as go live date. What is that called as? What is that called as?
Go live.
go live
Project.
date.
Go live date. Correct only. Correct only. Sunday. Why are you so sleepy, guys? I don't know. You need to be very active. Are you getting bored? I'm not interested.
No.
Let me know. What is the? It is called as go live date. What is that called as?
Go
Go
live.
live
Go
date.
live day.
Go live.
Go live date. Right.
What is that?
Right. This is the UAT. What?
UAT.
What was that? Sorry. Someone will ask me a question.
What is that?
Go live date. LIVE.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Right. Coming back to our discussion. Okay. I'm coming back to our discussion. Now you understand what is UAT. What is the full form of UAT? What is the full form of UAT?
User
User
acceptance.
acceptance.
User
acceptance
acceptance
User
testing.
acceptance test.
What are the two types of testing inside UAT? One is
Alpha
Alpha
testing.
testing.
Alpha
Beta
testing
Alpha
and
testing.
beta testing.
Beta
another one is
testing.
beta testing. Correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Right? Who perform alpha testing? Done by the QA team. Correct?
Yes.
And
Yes.
who performs the beta testing? It is a
Customer.
customer. Very, very important. But in real time, sorry, but in real time, what happens? UAT is done by the customer only. UAT is done by the customer only. Anyway, we are doing lot of other testing, right? That is comes under alpha only. But once the application is ready after the integration testing, then we'll move to that UAT environment where customers will perform UAT testing, which is nothing but beta testing. Got it? This will be the interview question. So have you performed? See, these are all. See, even the person who is asking questions in the interview also know that whatever we learn is not implemented in the real time. But for the interview purpose, people will ask, have you performed alpha testing? Have you performed beta testing? Right? Who performs alpha? Who performs beta? Right? Did you perform integration testing? Right? You should know all these in advance before going for any interview. Hope levels of testings are clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Vinod.
Yes, we know.
Anyone who is still not clear with any of the testings, please? Anyone? Any doubts? Okay. People are not talking. Means
No doubt.
no doubts.
No.
There is
So
no
let
doubt.
me
Vinod.
share.
Reproduction. Yes.
Let me share the course content, what we have discussing so far. What is here on the screen?
Introduction of software testing.
Introduction of software testing.
What is
Right.
software
Software
testing?
Now, yeah,
testing.
we have
Testing.
done the what is software testing, quality, importance of
Importance
testing,
of testing.
tools used for testing, right? We have, guys, come on, go on mute. Okay, we have understood what is the software development life cycle, right? Different phases. These were the different phases, correct? The naming is different. Operation can say here. Deployment. We also understand testing methodologies, correct?
Yes,
Correct? You understand this? Did we completed this one?
yes, yes. Complete.
Levels of testing,
Yes,
Yes.
right? Everyone.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Vinod.
Right. Okay. Now there are a lot of testing in the pipeline: functional, non-functional, white box, black box, positive, data. In this, in this, we understood. In this, we understood black box testing. We understood beta testing. Correct. So
Yes, sir.
we'll cover one by one, and we'll deep dive into these types of testings one by one. Okay. Right.
Okay. Vinod.
Let us start with the types of testing. Now let me share the screen. Let me know once you see the notepad.
Yes, Vinod.
Let's say yes or no. Yes.
Yes.
Now we will try to discuss. Now we understand what is a functional testing, but we'll try to deep dive more into it. What is a functional testing? Right. Now, at a high level, we understand testing the functionality of the application or testing the functions of the application is called functional testing. Do you agree? Guys, you agree with this line?
Yes.
Yes, Vinod.
Testing the functionality of the application. Now, example, functionality of the application, we discussing multiple times. Functions of a car, we discussed. Functions of e-commerce platform, listing products, deleting a product, payment, user creation, right? Delivery, adding the delivery address, entering the PIN code, correct? Selecting the quantity, adding the different payments, payment ways, right? These are all the functions. To test that particular functions of the application is something called as a functionality testing. Whoever performs the testing is called as the functional testers. Are you a functional tester or a non-functional tester at this stage?
Functional.
Functional tester.
Functional
Functional tester.
test.
Functional.
Guys, you should be very clear and loud. You are a functional
Functional
tester
tester.
at
Functional
this
tester.
moment, right? At this junction, you are a functional. People will ask in the interview, have you ever done the functional testing or have you ever done non-functional testing. You should understand if someone asking you about the non-functional, it means they are referring to the performance testing. They're referring to the load testing. They're referring to the security testing. They're referring to the usability testing. They're referring to the volume testing. They're referring to the stress testing. When someone is telling, have you ever done the functional testing? They are referring to the whether you have tested the application's basic functionalities. Whatever the functionalities are mentioned in the requirement document, that application is behaving in a similar way. You apply black box testing techniques. When you say you apply black box testing techniques, it means you'll only test the functional part of the
Functional.
application without touching anything in the structural part. So in the functional test, what will you do?
Okay.
What will you do? You give input to the application and you expect a desired output. And you will decide whether it is a pass or fail. Example, if you take a calculator application, if you input 2 plus 3, the desired output should be 5. If the desired output is 5, then your test case or your functional test is pass. If the desired output is 6, your functional test case or the test case is fail. You have one defect identified. Right? Functional testing is a type of testing in which someone establish whether each application features works as per the software requirements mentioned in the FRD document or the BRD document. Now onwards, I'll also be referring FRS and BRD, sorry. This BR, not BRS, it is BRD. It is a business requirement documentation. So I repeat this statement. Functional testing is a type of testing in which the tester will establish whether the application, whatever the features of the application, is working as per the requirements. Each function is compared to the corresponding requirements to ascertain whether the output which is coming is consistent with the end user's expectations. Example, if you key in 2 plus 300 times also, the result should be 5. The calculator should not say that, hey, you pressed 2 and 3 so many times. I'm tired. Now I'll not give the result of 5. I'm tired. I'll be sleeping for some time. I'll give 0. That should not be the case. Even if you input the same inputs for the one time to 1,000 times to 1 lakh times, the output should be the same and consistent. Correct? Your application should not stress out. Your application should not crash when 2 and 3 is continuously pressed more than 1 lakh times. Right? This testing is done, right, with the same inputs, capturing the results or the output and verifying the actual outputs as the same as expected. Okay, so and also please understand, functional testing is a form of testing, right? It is a kind of a quality assurance process that will validate the system or the components against various functional requirements that are outlined in the functional requirement specification document. So that is why we only check the functional part of the application. This functional testing comes under black box testing. We do not consider the source code of the application while testing process. As a tester, you will not bother whether the application is used .NET or Java, what kind of standards they have used to develop this application. You are not bothered in the functional testing. You only bothered of the functional part. Anything confusion on the whatever we have discussed in the functional part?
No.
No, sir. No, Vinod.
No, Vinod.
No, Vinod.
Right. Now we'll understand some of the examples. Right. We saw a lot of examples in a functional testing, right? To test functions of a car, to test functions of an application, right? So it might be if you are inputting, example, a Aadhaar card. Example, you are running an Aadhaar card application. There are 5 to 10 members in the queue. One application is completed. The application, once you submit, it should again start from the beginning to capture the new details, right? So every time one application is submitted, a new application should be created with the new details, which are unique in nature, correct? Example, the payment gateway, we already discussed it. It should reject if the details are not given properly. It should display a proper error message. It should display if credit card number is not given promptly, not given correctly. Correct. If username and password are incorrect, your application should display the valid user-friendly message. So these are all the functional part of an application specific to the e-commerce. Please remember, different domain has a different functions. Do you agree? Different domain has a
Yes.
different functions. Correct.
Yes.
If I
Yes.
talk about e-commerce,
Yes.
correct. If I talk about e-commerce, I'll talk about payment gateway. I'll talk about products. I'll talk about shipping. I'll talk about login. If when it comes to Aadhaar card, I'll talk about address. I'll talk about date of birth. I'll talk about whether he's NRI or a resident of India or non-resident of India. I'll talk about the PAN card information. I'll talk about the permanent address of a particular person. Again, when it comes to mutual funds or mutual funds domain, I'll talk about the different funds names, different features, different the benefits that we get out of that funds. What is the payment method? Whether it's a weekly, daily, monthly, yearly, right? So what is the cost value? There are different names used in mutual funds. The same way, you should be familiar by the time you go to YouTube, you should be very much domains. Especially you have to pick up 2 to 3 domains. You should be well versed with that. You go for the interview. Right. And and we have discussed functional testing, what we do, how we test. But why the functional testing is more important, right? It is important because without completing the functional testing, you may not accurately understand whether your application functions as intended. It means there are 10 requirements which are given to us. 10 requirements are developed by the developer. As a tester, you should test the application, whether this application is used. This application is used. Give me 1 second. Sorry. So this application, right? This application should be tested without you know uh, without confusion. The tester has to test that application and make sure that this application is developed as per the given requirements, correct? And it is very important, right? When the contract is signed, if you remember, SAW is signed. Now they will sign on both areas. One example, there's a contract of developing a Aadhaar card application. Now they'll mention like this: testing team should perform functional testing as well as the non-functional testing. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'll just be back. One. Right. Now, whenever the SAW is signed, right, at the beginning of the project, so the scope will be mentioned. The scope, then they'll mention as functional testing is in scope and non-functional testing is out of scope. Now, what does that mean? As a testing team will not perform non-functional testing, right? Performance testing is ruled out. Okay. Or it is mentioned like this: QA team will perform functional testing as well as non-functional testing. So it means performance testing is also within the scope of QA testing. And don't worry, company will hire a separate performance testing team because they need tools. Example, there is a load runner application, there is a wind runner application, there is a HPA loader. There are different performance testing tools. They will take the license and there will be separate environments altogether. The performance testing team will have a separate environment, just like QA and dev environment. There is a separate performance environments where the application is deployed in that environment and they'll do the load testing. Okay, that is a separate altogether. If you also learn performance testing, you will be a part of performance testing also. But now let us come back to our functional testing. But any application which is agreed in the beginning that the functional and both functional non-functional should be performed, then functional testing should be passed and non-functional test should also be passed. Otherwise, your application will not move to the UAT phase. That is very, very important. Right? Now you got the word, right? Non-functional testing. What is the difference between a functional and a non-functional testing? Functional testing checks if an application meets the specified functional requirements, correct, which are mentioned in the FRS document. While non-functional test will be tested on the aspects like performance, security, scalability, and other quality items. In other way, right, put it in a simple way, the functional testing is concerned whether the key functions are operating correctly, and non-functional testing is more concerned with how those operations takes place. Now, to an example, if an application, if it says this application can accept 10 users per second, right? That is the functions of an application. But as a performance tester, what you'll do, you will see by adding 10 users per second. How do you add? There is a separate tools that are used. So automatically the number of users you while putting a load on the application, what you do, you simulate the test. You increase the load or decrease the number of users. So automatically it will hit that many users to the application within a second. So that's a different scope altogether. Don't get confused. Now understand testing the key functions of the application is a functional testing, and how that key functions are working, right? That is done under, that is comes under non-functional testing, right? For the non-functional testing, right? Right. So I'm taking much time on this functional and non-functional because this is a major part of any testing career. This is very major part. So you should be very much clear what are the difference between functional and non-functional. Now, what is a functional testing steps? So how do you perform functional testing steps? It is very, very simple. First, what you'll do, you'll identify the goal of that particular testing. Example, what is the goal? Now, all this, we have taken Aadhaar card application. There are 10 requirements. Now, what is your goal? All the 10 requirements should be working and Aadhaar card application should be working well. That's your goal. If there are any defects, you will let the developer know about the defects, right? First, you'll set the goal. What is your goal? You'll test the application with respect to those 10 requirements. Whenever you are going to test, you have to make sure that your functional requirement document is handy. All your test cases you prepared is handy, correct? Right. Now, what is the first step? You will have your goal ready. What is the second step? You will create a test scenarios. Very important. Yes, we'll be learning more about this. You will create test scenarios. It means that every application will have different scenarios. Right? One example for e-commerce, creating a user is one scenario. Under that scenario, you will have multiple test steps. What are the steps for creating a user? Right? You will click on home page. Correct? You will select the username. You will select the password. You will click on submit button. Right? If the username is valid, it will create a username. Otherwise, it says username already exists. Like that, there are different scenarios based on the domain. Correct? E-commerce will have different domains. Healthcare application will have different domains, different scenarios. Right? Based on the domain, your scenarios will be changed. Correct? Now, we will develop a list of test scenarios in the second step, and you will keep handy. Third, you will have the test data ready. Now, example we told, we will create a username and password. Now you will keep username and password ready. Or if it captures address, date of birth, your location, your zip code, your nearby location, all the data should be ready. Correct? That is called as test data. Correct? You will prepare the test data in an Excel format or in a spreadsheet or a notepad. Depends on what you are using. There is no restriction to it. Right? Once your test data is ready, we'll talk about test cases. Now, we also heard this word in the software development lifecycle. What is the test cases? So we'll see in detail how we're going to write the test cases. For now, try to understand. You will get the template from the lead. You will write the test cases. Now, every test case will have, right? Every test case will have actual output and the expected output, or actual expected output or the actual output. So we'll have this for every test case. Example, if you are creating a username, right? If it is a valid scenario, if username and password both are correct, once you click on submit, what is the actual output? It will display the products page. But when you actually run the test case, If it is actually displaying the expected output, then it's your test case is passed. Instead of giving correct username and correct password, if the application is not moving to the product listing page, then your test case is failed. It means there is a defect in the application. We'll see the test case with real time, with the sample test cases. Do not worry. At this stage, try to understand. Step one is to set up the goal, what application you're going to test. Step two, create those scenarios. Step three, design the test cases. Correct? Step four, execute the test cases and see out of hundreds of test cases you return, how many are passed, how many are failed. The fail number of test cases, we will create that many defects and will assign it to the developer. Correct? Once the test cases are executed, you will come to know how many fail and how many are passed. Pass will not touch anything. Whatever they are failed, they're going to create a defects to each test case that are failed, and you will create a bug or a defect in the defect tracking tool. You will assign that defect to the developer, and you'll track that defect till it is getting closed. Example, out of 10 test cases you return, 5 are pass or 5 are fail. You will create 5 defects to the developer and you will assign it, and you'll keep on asking every day what is the status for the defects. You make sure that 5 defects which are raised that are fixed by the developer. Once it is fixed, you will retest the defects, and you will do the retesting till those 5 defects are fixed and working properly. So you should have 0 defects, all the test cases passed before you release that application to the UAT environment. Hope you understand what are the functional testing steps and how to perform functional testing in the real time. Any confusion in what is the functional testing steps?
No.
No, Vinod.
No.
Okay. Now quickly we'll as this course is not related to the non-functional testing, but we'll try to understand what is the non-functional testing. Correct? Uh, as we discussed earlier, right? Sorry. As we have discussed, right? Non-functional testing is something related to the performance, right? What is the performance? What is the performance? Performance is something how your application is working with respect to the node. How is the performance working whenever someone is hacking your application? So we perform security testing. Security testing is another very, very important. In the SOW, they will be clearly mentioning that non-functional testing, what are the scope? Whether we will be doing performance, whether we'll be doing security testing. If security testing is agreed, there is a huge cost will be occurring because we have to purchase few tools to test our application with respect to security. So we have different security testing like cross scripting, SQL injections, ethical hacking, SQL injection, a lot of different types of security testing that is performed on the especially confidential applications like banking applications, important applications like e-commerce, financials, healthcare. The security testing is very, very important, which is a part of non-functional testing, right? Volume testing, scalability testing, everything, load testing comes under non-performance testing. And you should be very much clear when you go for the interview. When you study, when you know about non-functional testing, then only in the interview you should say you have performed non-functional testing also. You should be more clear in telling in non-functional testing you performed only non-functional testing. You should tell you only done load testing. You only done you only done the usability testing. You only done the scalability testing. So whatever knowledge you have to be more specific about non-functional testing. Hope you very much clear on this functional and non-functional part, right, guys?
Yes, Vinod.
Yes, Vinod.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you're not sleeping.
No, no,
Anyone nicely sleeping?
no, sir. Listening to the class.
Okay. Okay.
No
All right.
Listening.
Sorry, nicely sleeping. Someone told.
No sleeping, only listening.
Okay, not sleeping, only listening.
No, sir.
Nice word. Nice quote. No, nice quotation. No sleeping, only listening. Okay. All right. So, by this we'll end our session and we'll stop the recording. So we'll continue session tomorrow. We'll stop the recording.
Okay, sir.